Hi crafty friends, it's Donna here, and I'm back with another card to share with you today. The starting point for this card was the Hand Stitching to Embossing folder. It's so beautiful that I really wanted it to feature on the card, and so I decided on a very clean and simple layout. The first step was to emboss my background piece. I popped the paper into the middle of the embossing folder and then ran that through my die cutting machine. And this is the result. The background panel and the card itself are both made from Paper Rose's white smooth cardstock. This is a really bright white card. For those of you who are more used to American sizing, you'll notice that the Australian sized paper is slightly longer and slightly narrower, resulting in just a very slightly different shaped card. For those of you that are used to making Australian cards, this will seem like a very familiar shape to you. I want this card to have a really restful feel, so I'm keeping my colour palette to a minimum. I'm using some silver glitter paper and also iced spruce distress oxide. The sentiment is cut out using Paper Rose's chunky Happy Birthday die. This die has both the words and also a background layer, and I've used both today. I thought I'd have a little experiment with putting these two layers together. I decided that I would try putting glue on the top layer while it was still in the die, and then pressing it down onto the background. I used my little pokey tool to press everything down, and then very carefully separated the layers. It was quite easy doing it this way, to have a nice even border around and to know that everything was perfectly lined up. I've used a length of metallic bluish silver thread as a background to kind of soften the boldness of the chunky Happy Birthday. And I've also stamped one of the flowers from the Wildflowers stamp set with the iced spruce ink, and I've cut that out with the matching die. This stamp set has a bunch of different shapes, but because I was going for a roughly diamond shape in my overall layout, I went with a flower that was fairly long and narrow. As well as that, I'm going to add a little bit of iced spruce spatter to my background. I want the general shape of my cluster of elements to read like a diamond, and so when I'm spattering, I've just marked off the corners of my cardstock with some scrap paper that I had lying around, so that the ink is also in that diamond shape. I started spattering with just the brush, and then scooped some of the extra ink off the block onto the paper. This gave me lots of fine spatter, but I wanted a mix of larger and smaller drops. And I guess I could have gone and got a bigger brush to do that, but in the end I decided just to paint on the dots that I wanted myself. Once I'd dried the paint, I decided to cut down the panel just a little bit more. I then mounted the back with foam tape. I always put a little bit of foam tape in the middle of my larger panels, just so that they don't collapse in the middle, especially if I've used water on the paper. Finally, it's just a matter of constructing the card, putting together all those different bits. This was the point at which the thread decided that it had it out for me, and would no longer sit in the beautiful arrangement that it had sat in the first 100 times that I tried it on the card. In the end, I wound some extra string, just so that I could have enough sticking out more or less evenly around my different panel. I put a few spots of glue down, and then I used the backing paper from some of my two-sided tape just to press that down so that I didn't get sticky fingers. I then glued down a thin strip of silver paper, which I'd cut from the same paper as the Happy Birthday. I mounted both the wildflower and the Happy Birthday with foam tape. This is just a cheap foam tape that I get from my local hardware store, but it really is a little bit too sticky for the job. It's quite fiddly. Once it's down, it's really hard to move things. I'm going to leave you with a few pictures of the final card. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Until next time, have a great day.